does that obtain?
I've never seen an electorate so enthusiastic, energized as the Tea Party / Republican electorate is right now, especially after the health care bill passed. I've talked to people, I'm going to contribute, I'm going to go out. So I think, it's bad news for the Democrats.
Let's ask Senator Lincoln about this disaffection, as you put it, Eugene. With us now from Capitol Hill, Democrat from Arkansas and chairwoman of the Senate Agricultural Committee, Senator Blanche Lincoln. Welcome back to the show, Senator Lincoln.
Good morning.
She's unveiling financial reform legislation today to curb the derivative practices of big banks. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's ask the senator about whether or not you're worried that the Republicans apparently have the polls on their sides, that maybe there's something to the concern about where our money is going and how much we're spending.
Oh, I think there's definitely a concern. I think Americans are very concerned about the amount of spending that exists, and that's one of the things that health care really does. It looks at mandatory spending, which contributes more to the long-term debt than any of the spending issues we have. I've voted for a constitutional amendment to balance the budget. I have voted for PAYGO. I have voted for certainly multiple opportunities, the Special Commission, Deficit Commission, other ways that we can help curb the debt in this country, and we've got to do that. And I think we've got to do it responsibly.
Well, let me ask you about the angry electorate, because it seems to me you're getting it from both sides. You've got a challenger that's from the left in the Democratic primary who says you're too conservative. And, of course, all the Republicans that you're running against who are ahead of you in the latest polls say you're too liberal. What exactly are you?
I'm pragmatic. I'm a common sense legislator that listens to the people that I represent. I think you're right. People are concerned. There's a fear out there of the fact that we are spending too much money. We've got to put our economy back on track. We've got to put people back to work. That's one of the reasons I have on every occasion, pestered my leadership here in the Senate to get to the jobs bill that we passed and sent to the House. Bring that back. Look at the ways that we can allow businesses to create the jobs. Government's not going to create the jobs that puts our economy back on track. Businesses are, and we've got to give them the incentives and, more importantly, the certainty. The fact is, government and certainly Washington does not produce certainty, and to be able to have the resources to invest into businesses that can grow jobs, they've got to have more certainty.
Pat Buchanan.
Senator Lincoln, are you apprehensive that, and it looks like you're probably going to win the primary, are you apprehensive that when you defeat this fellow in the primary that the liberals in the Democratic Party might be somewhat demoralized and stay home on you in November?
No, I don't think so at all. I think Arkansas Democrats and Arkansans in general are looking for results. They're looking for somebody that's going to work hard. I'm a seventh-generation Arkansas farm family, and I understand exactly what they're thinking. They do want results, and that's what counts. They don't want a bunch of excuses. And I think I've worked hard to bring those results, whether it's looking at moderate legislation, whether it's making sure that I stand up to my caucus or to anybody else that really just wants to say no and doesn't want to move forward. We've got to make some tough choices. We've got challenges in this country that we face, and we've got to move forward. And it's time now for us to seize that opportunity, embrace our country, and make it strong. And I think I'm the person to do that, and I think that people will see that. And Democrats will rally.
Senator, your legislation on financial reform is very tough on derivatives, which it would seem to me would be not just good policy, but kind of a populist sweet spot that might appeal to a lot of folks. Are you going to be able to convince members of your caucus that this is the right way to go, that we really do need to look at derivatives and regulate them in order to prevent another collapse like the one we just had?
Well, I'm going to work with anybody that's willing to work with me, Democrats, Republicans, administration, anybody. But the fact is, we've had a $600 trillion market that's been a dark market. The only people that have the information are the few financial institutions on Wall Street. And the fact is we need to shed some sunlight. To make sure that what we're talking about in this legislation is something that's really going to get the job done. And I think if people look at my legislation that we'll put out today, we'll mark it up in the Ag Committee next week, that we really do provide that 100% transparency in terms that everything will be reported to regulators and to the public, and that we'll be asking those individuals who are dealing in the riskiest of products that they're going to have to put up more capital and they're going to have to meet more regulation. it's, you know, the problem we've had is that these are dark markets. We haven't known what was going on in these marketplaces, and unfortunately, regular depositors in many ways have been being held responsible in bolstering up a lot of these risky actions that have taken place.
Let me change topics with you. Looking at the top of the New York Times right now, the headline up top: Obama alters hospital rules for gay rights. President Obama on Thursday ordered his health secretary to issue new rules aimed at granting hospitals visiting rights to same-sex partners. Do you agree with the president's new policy?
Well, I don't know how he's written it, but I think that being able to certainly have visitation abilities in hospitals to, you know, relatives and loved ones whenever they need to have access to them is an important thing for anybody out there.
Okay, so including same-sex partners, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're when you've got someone that is close to you and cares for you, and you know, there's an illness, perhaps a fatal illness. I think it's important for people to be there for one another.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see any harm with that. Let me ask you another New York Times headline here. Florida governor vetoes teacher merit pay bill. This is causing, I'm sure you know, political shockwaves in my home state of Florida. Do you believe in merit pay for teachers?
I think it's important for all of us to remember that there's got to be incentives and there's got to be encouragement to do our best in whatever it is that we're doing and whatever industry we may be in. I think it's important that we also have to realize that in education right now, we have to understand that what these children get in our schools and the outcome from that is critically important, and it has to be the objective of what we're working towards. I'm an enormous supporter of public schools. I'm a product of the public schools in Arkansas, and I'm very proud of our teachers and what they do day in and day out. I worked with Mike Crapo, another classmate of ours, Joe, and we worked to put in some really good, I think, corrections to No Child Left Behind that are meaningful. And I think one of the biggest things I heard from educators in Arkansas is, you know, don't ask us to lower our expectations, or don't lower your expectations of us. Just give us goals that we can reach. And I think that's critically important, because we're asking them to have a classroom of 28, 30 7th graders read all of them at the end of the year at a 7th grade level, when they begin the year with only 50% of them reading at a 7th grade level, or doing math at a 7th grade level. We've got to make sure we give them goals that they can reach. They have worked as hard as I've ever seen educators work in the past several years to meet some of those expectations, and they want to do that.
All right.
Senator Lincoln, thank you so much. It's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Blanche. Great talking to you.
Great to talk to you.